Hey everyone, it's Emma, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I wanted to share something with you today. A story that's both a little funny and incredibly relatable, I think. You see, I had the best intentions. This weekend, I planned to clean my room. I really did. I envisioned this sparkling, organized space, a sanctuary of calm amidst the chaos of life. I even made a mental checklist. But you will not believe what happened next. I did absolutely everything but clean my room. I watered the plants, reorganized my bookshelf, which, admittedly, needed it, baked a batch of cookies, because, why not, and even deep cleaned the bathroom. Honestly, it felt like the hours just melted away, filled with all sorts of productive tasks, except the one I'd actually set out to do. It left me feeling a bit baffled, a little amused, and strangely relaxed. There's something soothing about that, isn't there? The unexpected detour, the gentle sway of procrastination. So, let's begin our exciting journey of English improvement together with this little tale of a clean everything but my room kind of day. Remember, new videos are released daily, focusing on English speaking and listening skills to help you improve and enjoy your learning journey. So, I was thinking the other day about giving back, you know? It's something I think about a lot, but don't always act on. Life gets in the way, right? Anyway, this memory popped into my head, about the time I volunteered at a food bank. It was, maybe 2 years ago? Time flies. It was around Thanksgiving. I remember that much, crisp air, leaves swirling around like confetti. And it was such a profound experience, you know? More than I expected. I mean, I went in thinking I was going to help out, do some good, but I walked away having learned so much more. I'd signed up online, super easy, and chosen a Saturday morning shift. I'm not a morning person, by any stretch, so dragging myself out of bed was a feat in itself. But I'd committed, so, coffee in hand, I drove to the food bank. It wasn't what I expected, not at all. I'd pictured, I don't know, a dingy warehouse, maybe a little depressing. But this place was vibrant. Brightly painted walls, cheerful posters, and people bustling around with this incredible energy. There were all sorts of people there, older folks, college students, even a couple of families volunteering together. It was heartwarming, truly. I checked in with this woman, Sarah, who had the warmest smile I'd ever seen. She had this infectious energy, like she could power a small city with her enthusiasm. She gave me a quick rundown of what I'd be doing. Sorting donations, packing boxes, that sort of thing. Simple enough, right? Well, the first thing that hit me was the smell. It was a mix of things. Earthy, from all the fresh produce. Slightly sweet, from the canned goods. And something else I couldn't quite place, maybe the cardboard boxes? It was oddly comforting, like being in a giant, bustling kitchen. Sarah led me to a massive table piled high with everything. Cans of beans, boxes of pasta, bags of rice, loaves of bread, you name it. It was overwhelming, to be honest. My first task was sorting through the cans. Easy peasy, I thought, until I realized there were, 50 different kinds of beans. Kidney beans, black beans, pinto beans, cannellini beans. I was completely lost. I mean, who knew there were so many beans in the world? I felt like such a klutz. I kept mixing them up, putting the chickpeas with the kidney beans, the black beans with, well, you get the picture. Sarah noticed my struggle, bless her heart, and came over to help. She chuckled, "It can be a bit daunting at first," she said, with a wink. She showed me the little labels on each can, how to identify the different types, and even gave me a quick lesson on bean varieties. I felt so silly, but she was so patient, so kind. It's amazing how a little kindness can go such a long way, you know. After the bean debacle, things got a little easier. I started to get the hang of it. I was sorting, stacking, packing. I even learned how to efficiently pack a box so that everything fit snugly and wouldn't get crushed. It felt good, like I was actually contributing, making a difference. But it was more than just the physical work. It was the people. Everyone was so friendly, so dedicated. We chatted while we worked, sharing stories, jokes, even recipes using the very food we were packing. There was this older gentleman, Mr. Henderson, who had been volunteering there for years. He had the most incredible stories, about his life, about the people he'd met at the food bank, about the community. Listening to him, I realized that this wasn't just about providing food, it was about creating a sense of belonging, a network of support. And then there were the families who came to pick up food. That was the part that really stuck with me. You see, I'd always had this preconceived notion, I guess, of who used food banks. But the people I saw were just regular people. Families with young children, elderly couples, single mothers. People who were struggling, yes, but who were also incredibly resilient, incredibly grateful. There was this one young woman, I remember, she had a little girl with her, maybe 4 or 5 years old. The little girl was clutching a teddy bear, and when they received their box of food, her eyes lit up. It was this pure, unadulterated joy. It broke my heart, but it also filled it with this overwhelming sense of purpose. You know, I'd gone in thinking I was doing them a favor, but by the end of the day, I realized they'd done me a favor. They'd shown me the power of community, the importance of empathy, the simple truth that sometimes, all it takes is a little help to make a world of difference. It wasn't glamorous work. My back ached, my hands were sticky, and I smelled faintly of canned peaches. But it was fulfilling. Deeply, profoundly fulfilling. It was a reminder that we're all connected, that we all need a little help sometimes, and that even the smallest act of kindness can have a ripple effect. I went back the following week, and the week after that. I even started recruiting my friends. It became this ritual, almost. A reminder to slow down, to connect with my community, to appreciate the simple things. And you know what? It changed me. It really did. It opened my eyes to a world I hadn't really seen before, a world of need, yes, but also a world of incredible resilience, generosity, and hope. So, yeah, that's my food bank story. It might not be the most exciting tale, but it's one that, well, it's one that's stuck with me. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most meaningful experiences are the ones we least expect. What about you? Have you ever volunteered anywhere? I'd love to hear your story sometime. Okay, so, grab a cup of something warm. Settle in, because this is a story. It's the saga of me, a hopelessly clueless city girl, and my epic battle to learn basic car maintenance. You know, The kind of stuff dads are supposed to teach you, but mine was more of a call a mechanic kind of guy. It all started, as these things often do, with a dramatic, wallet-emptying incident. Picture this. Me, 22, fresh out of college, navigating the urban jungle in my beloved Betsy, a hand-me-down Honda Civic that had seen better days. Betsy was my chariot of freedom, my escape pod from the suffocating predictability of suburban life. We were a team. Until, that is, the dreaded day I heard that sound. It wasn't a bang or a crash, nothing so dramatic. It was more of a chug 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 sputter wheeze. Like a robotic death rattle. Right in the middle of rush hour. On the freeway. Can you imagine? Horns blared, cars swerved, and my heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. I managed to coast to the shoulder, feeling the heat of embarrassment rising up my neck as I fumbled for my phone. Mechanic, tow truck, exorbitant bill. The whole 9 yards. The mechanic, a burly guy with grease under his fingernails and a smirk that suggested he'd seen it all before, delivered the diagnosis. Low oil. Low oil? I stared at him blankly. He might as well have been speaking Klingon. He pointed to a dipstick, a metal rod coated in, well, I wasn't quite sure what. This, he said, his voice dripping with a mixture of amusement and pity, tells you how much oil your car has. See how it's dry. Yeah, not good. Right then and there, something snapped. I was done being at the mercy of mechanics and their condescending smirks. I was done feeling helpless and stupid. I was going to learn how to take care of my own darn car. Now, my idea of car maintenance up until that point was making sure it was reasonably clean and occasionally filling the gas tank. So, where does a clueless millennial go to acquire ancient knowledge? The internet, of course. I plunged into the digital depths of YouTube tutorials, car forums, and online manuals. It was a whole new world, full of strange acronyms. What on earth is a PCV valve? And tools I'd never even seen before. My first mission. The oil change. I bought a cheap set of tools, a jug of oil, after much agonizing over the correct viscosity. Seriously. Who knew oil came in different thicknesses, and an oil filter? I parked Betsy in my apartment's parking lot, armed with my laptop and a determined glint in my eye. The YouTube tutorial made it look so easy. Loosen the drain plug, let the old oil flow out, replace the filter, add new oil. Piece of cake, right? Wrong. So very, very wrong. First of all, locating the drain plug was a treasure hunt in itself. I crawled under Betsy, armed with a flashlight, feeling like an intrepid explorer navigating the dark, greasy underbelly of a mechanical beast. When I finally found it, it refused to budge. I strained, I grunted, I even resorted to hitting the wrench with a rock. Don't judge me. Finally, with a groan of metal, it gave way. And then, the oil. Oh, the oil. Instead of a neat stream flowing into my carefully placed drain pan, it gushed out like a geyser, coating my arms and face in a warm, slick film. I shrieked, scrambled back, and watched in horror as a black puddle spread across the pavement. It was a massacre. An oily, smelly massacre. My neighbors, drawn by the commotion, peered out their windows, offering a mixture of amusement and concern. I'm sure I looked like a character from a slapstick comedy, covered in oil, hair sticking up at odd angles, muttering curses under my breath. But I'm stubborn. Really stubborn. I cleaned up the mess, mostly wrestled the new filter into place, after accidentally putting it on backwards, of course, and finally managed to fill the engine with the correct amount of oil, or at least I hoped it was the correct amount. The moment of truth arrived. I turned the key, holding my breath, and Betsy sputtered to life. No chugging, no wheezing, just the smooth purr of a happy engine. I felt a surge of triumph, a rush of pure, unadulterated joy. I had done it. I, the clueless city girl, had conquered the oil change. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing from there. There were other battles. The time I tried to change a flat tire and ended up stripping the lug nuts. The time I replaced the spark plugs and accidentally disconnected a crucial wire, leaving Betsy silent and lifeless. The time I tried to top off the coolant and ended up pouring it all over the engine. Each mistake was a lesson learned, a badge of honor in my ongoing automotive education. Slowly but surely, I became more confident, more competent. I learned the language of cars, the whirring and clicking and groaning that told me what was happy and what wasn't. I learned to diagnose problems, to fix minor issues, to feel that deep sense of satisfaction that comes from knowing you can take care of yourself, and your car. Now, I'm not saying I'm a mechanic. I still call the professionals for the big stuff. But I'm no longer intimidated by the rumble under the hood. I'm no longer helpless when faced with a flat tire or a flickering headlight. I know my way around a toolbox. I can change my own oil, without getting covered in it, most of the time, and I can even identify that mysterious PCV valve. So, what's the moral of the story? Well, it's not just about learning to change your oil. It's about conquering fear, embracing challenges, and proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you think. It's about taking control, even if it means getting your hands a little dirty. And, you know what? It's incredibly empowering. Because let's face it, there's nothing quite like the feeling of knowing you can handle anything life, or your car, throws your way. Right? Right. Now, who wants another cuppa? I've got another story about the time I tried to replace my brake pads. Learning a new language can feel like climbing a mountain, but remember, your small steps today are silent victories. Each time you try, each time you speak, even if it's just a whisper, you're moving forward. These seemingly small efforts build a foundation of confidence, and you'll be surprised how quickly they add up to fluency. Believe in yourself, because you're doing amazing. And you know what? Here's a fun and easy way to practice speaking every day. Pretend you're a flight attendant making announcements. Imagine you're walking around your kitchen, cooking dinner, and suddenly, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Flight Kitchen Airlines, destination delicious dinner. Please ensure your seat belts are fastened, your tray tables are up, and your appetites are ready for takeoff. It might sound silly, but trust me, it's a great way to get comfortable speaking out loud. Worrying if you're speaking too loudly or softly is something I think we all experience. You might be in a coffee shop, wanting to order your favorite drink, but suddenly your voice feels tiny, or maybe you're chatting with a friend and worry you're being too boisterous. It's completely normal to feel this way. Just remember, every conversation is a step forward, regardless of the volume. You will not believe what happened next. The other day I was walking in the park, listening to people chatting in English, and it struck me how many different ways there are to practice. It sparked my curiosity and made me wonder, what's your favorite way to practice English when you're alone? I'd love to hear your tips and tricks. Okay. So, you know how sometimes you get this urge. Like you just have to do something you've never done before? That's how I felt about sunrise hikes. I'd seen pictures, right? All those Instagram-worthy shots of people bathed in this golden light, looking all serene and at peace on a mountaintop. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't want that? So, I decided, right then and there, that I was going to experience this magical sunrise hike thing. The problem? I am so not a morning person. Like, at all. My ideal morning involves hitting snooze at least 3 times, maybe 4 if I'm feeling particularly ambitious. But, for this sunrise hike, I knew I had to make an exception. I chose a fairly popular trail, Mount Albion, nothing too crazy, but with a promising view. Now, the next hurdle was the waking up part. I set my alarm for, gasp, 4 a.m. 4 a.m. You know, the time when even roosters are still trying to get a few more winks in? I'm pretty sure I stared at my phone in disbelief for a good 5 minutes after setting it. The next morning, predictably, my alarm went off sounding like a siren announcing the apocalypse. I groaned, burrowed deeper under my covers, and seriously considered just giving the whole thing up. But then, I remembered those pictures. That golden light. I dragged myself out of bed, feeling like the zombie extras from The Walking Dead, and stumbled around in the dark, getting ready. I packed a backpack with essentials, water, a granola bar, because, priorities, my phone, and a small flashlight. Driving to the trailhead in the pre-dawn darkness felt surreal. The world was quiet, still asleep, and I felt like I was the only one awake. There's something both eerie and exhilarating about that, you know? I reached the trailhead and, surprise, there were already a few cars there. Clearly, I wasn't the only crazy person with a sunrise obsession. I grabbed my backpack, took a deep breath of the crisp morning air. It smelled like pine needles and damp earth, and started my ascent. Now, let me tell you, hiking in the dark is a whole different ballgame. Even with my flashlight, I could barely see a few feet ahead. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sounded like a bear about to pounce. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little freaked out. I kept imagining all sorts of creepy crawlies lurking in the shadows. My imagination was working overtime, let's just say that. The trail was steep in places, rocky in others. I tripped a few times, stubbed my toe once, ouch, and generally felt like a clumsy penguin trying to navigate an obstacle course. But, with each step higher, I could feel the anticipation building. I knew the sunrise was getting closer. As I climbed, the sky started to change. It went from this deep, inky black to a sort of dark blue, then a lighter blue, and then, this amazing blend of purple and orange started to appear on the horizon. It was like someone was painting the sky with watercolors, you know? Each stroke adding a new layer of color, more vibrant than the last. I pushed myself a little harder, eager to reach a good viewpoint before the main event. And then, I found it. A small clearing, overlooking the valley below. I plopped down on a rock, breathless but exhilarated, and waited. And then, it happened. The sun, this giant ball of fiery orange, peeked over the horizon, casting its golden rays across the landscape. It was breathtaking. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. The mountains, the valleys, Everything was bathed in this warm, golden light. It was like the world was waking up, stretching after a long sleep, and smiling at the new day. I just sat there, mesmerized. All the tiredness, the early wake-up, the clumsy stumbles, it all faded away. It was just me, the mountains, and this incredible sunrise. I took a few pictures, but honestly, no picture could truly capture the beauty of that moment. It was something you had to experience to understand. You know what I realized sitting there? It wasn't just about the sunrise. It was about the journey. The challenge of pushing myself out of my comfort zone, the quiet solitude of the early morning hike, the anticipation, the effort, the reward. It was about the whole experience. The hike down was so much easier. The world was awake now, the trail was clearly visible, and I felt lighter. Like I'd shed something. Maybe my resistance to mornings? And gained something new. An appreciation for the beauty that comes with a little bit of effort. When I got back to my car, I was tired, yes, but also buzzing with energy. I felt accomplished. Like I'd conquered something, even if it was just my own sleep inertia. I grabbed a coffee on the way home, and let me tell you, that coffee tasted like victory. So, would I do it again? Absolutely. In a heartbeat. In fact, I'm already planning my next sunrise hike. Maybe a different trail this time, a little more challenging. Who knows? Maybe I'll even become a morning person. Okay, maybe that's pushing it. But hey, stranger things have happened, right? And let me tell you, that sunrise? It was totally worth the early wake-up call. Totally worth it. You should try it sometime, seriously. You won't regret it. You know what I mean. Okay, so grab a cup of something warm, because this is a bit of a story. It's about the time I decided, completely on a whim, to organize a charity drive. Now, I'm not some kind of organizational guru, you know? More like a controlled chaos kind of person. But something just sparked. It all started with a pair of ridiculously fluffy slippers. Yes, slippers. Bear with me. It was a bleak November day, the kind where the sky is the color of dishwater and the wind howls like a hungry wolf at your door. I was curled up on the sofa, buried under a blanket, sporting these ridiculous, bright pink, ridiculously oversized bunny slippers. They were a gift, and frankly, a bit much. But oh so cozy. Anyway, I was scrolling through social media, you know, the usual doom scrolling, and I came across a post about a local animal shelter struggling to make ends meet. They were running low on everything: food, blankets, toys, even cleaning supplies. And looking at those sad little puppy dog eyes staring back at me from my phone screen, while snuggled in my absurdly warm bunny slippers, well, something clicked. I felt this pang of, I don't know, guilt? Responsibility? Like, here I am, toasty warm, and these little critters are out there shivering. It didn't seem right. So, right then and there, fueled by a potent mix of empathy and lukewarm tea, I decided, I'm organizing a charity drive. Now, did I have any experience organizing anything bigger than a birthday party? Nope. Did I have a plan? Not even a little bit. But, hey, sometimes you just gotta leap, right? So, I started small. I texted a few friends, then posted on my social media. Hey guys, I wrote, something like, feeling inspired to help out the local animal shelter. Thinking of doing a little drive. Anyone interested? And you know what? The response was overwhelming. Seriously, my phone blew up. People were offering to donate, to volunteer, to spread the word. Suddenly, this little spark had turned into a bonfire. And I, the girl who could barely organize her sock drawer, was suddenly in charge. Okay, deep breaths. Deep breaths. Time to get organized. I created a spreadsheet, which felt incredibly official, might I add. Columns for donations, volunteers, contact information. The whole shebang. I felt like a proper adult. For a hot minute. Then came the logistics. Where to hold the drive? My apartment was definitely not an option, unless we wanted to wade through a sea of dog toys and catnip. Luckily, a friend offered her bakery. It was spacious, centrally located, and smelled perpetually of freshly baked cookies. Win-win-win. The next hurdle. Collecting donations. I envisioned neat little boxes overflowing with pet food and fluffy blankets. The reality? Chaos. Utter, beautiful chaos. People dropped off everything from slightly chewed tennis balls, pre-loved, apparently, to a giant, inflatable dinosaur toy that took up half the bakery. At one point, someone even donated a bag of unopened birdseed. For dogs. I mean, the thought was there, right? And the volunteers. Oh, the volunteers. We had this eclectic mix of people, from enthusiastic teenagers to retired grandmas knitting tiny sweaters for kittens. One guy even showed up dressed as a giant dog bone. Don't ask. There were definitely hiccups along the way. Like the time someone accidentally set off the bakery's fire alarm while trying to microwave a hot dog, for themselves, not the dogs, thankfully. Or the incident with the escaped hamster. That led to a hilarious, bakery-wide chase. Looking back, it was absolute pandemonium. But it was our pandemonium. And amidst all the chaos, there were these beautiful, quiet moments. Like watching a little girl shyly hand over her favorite teddy bear for a shelter puppy. Or seeing the genuine joy on people's faces as they contributed, knowing they were making a difference. The day of the actual drive was a blur of activity. People streamed in, dropping off donations, chatting, petting the few shelter animals we had brought in for the day. The bakery was buzzing with this incredible energy, this sense of community. It was magical. Honestly, by the end of the day, we were exhausted, covered in dog hair, and probably a little flour, and surrounded by mountains of donations. Looking at it all, the overflowing boxes, the bags of food, the toys, the blankets, I felt this overwhelming sense of accomplishment. We had done it. We had taken this crazy, impulsive idea and turned it into something real, something tangible. Something that would actually help those animals in need. And it wasn't just about the donations. It was about the connections we made, the community we built. It was about realizing that even small acts of kindness, fueled by ridiculously fluffy slippers and a little bit of crazy, can make a world of difference. Driving home that night, I was bone tired, but my heart was full. I remember looking out the window at the city lights twinkling in the darkness, and thinking, you know what? Maybe I'm not so bad at this organizing thing after all. Then, I got home, tripped over a pile of donation receipts in my hallway, and promptly spilled a cup of tea all over my bunny slippers. So, maybe controlled chaos is still my jam. But hey, at least it's chaos for a good cause, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's the story of how I The girl with the questionable organizational skills and the ridiculously fluffy slippers, organized a charity drive. It was messy, it was chaotic, it was imperfect. But it was also one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. And who knows, maybe next year we'll do it again. Just maybe I'll invest in a bigger apartment first. And maybe, just maybe, I'll leave the bunny slippers at home. Though, they are pretty cozy. What do you think? Hey everyone. Learning a new language can feel like climbing a mountain, but remember, don't chase perfection, chase connection. It's not about speaking flawlessly, it's about communicating and connecting with others. Focus on getting your message across, and you'll find yourself enjoying the journey so much more. You will not believe how much more relaxed and confident you'll feel when you let go of the pressure to be perfect. And you know what? Here's a fun little trick to practice speaking every day. Pretend you're selling a bizarre product on TV. Imagine trying to convince someone to buy a self-folding laundry basket or a singing toothbrush. It sounds silly, right? But trust me, it's a fantastic way to get comfortable speaking out loud, playing with different tones, and just having fun with the language. You can do it while you're cooking dinner or even on a walk. No pressure, just pure enjoyment. Honestly, it felt like magic when I first tried this. Struggling to understand fast speakers, I know, is a common challenge. It can be so frustrating when you feel like everyone's speaking in a secret code. You hear English all around you. Maybe you even understand most of it when people speak slowly. But then someone starts talking a mile a minute, and you're completely lost. It's okay, we've all been there. It's a natural part of the learning process. The other day, I was in a coffee shop and thought I'd ordered a plain bagel, but somehow, it ended up being a plain bagel with everything on it. You know, all the seeds and spices. It was a little surprising, but it made me chuckle. Have you ever misunderstood a word in English with funny results? Share your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear them. A soft sigh escapes my lips, accompanied by the gentle clinking of a teaspoon against a ceramic mug. I take a slow sip of my tea, looking out the window at the fading light. You know, sometimes the simplest things can bring back a flood of memories. Just the smell of cumin seeds sputtering in hot oil. It takes me right back. Back to my grandmother's kitchen, back to a sweltering summer afternoon, back to the day I learned to make cucumber raita. It wasn't just learning a recipe, you see. It was an experience. A whole emotional roller coaster, if I'm being honest. I must have been about 10, maybe 11, all awkward limbs and boundless energy. Desperate to be helpful, but mostly just underfoot. Grandma, bless her soul, was a whirlwind in the kitchen. Always humming a tuneless melody, her hands moving with a practiced grace that I could only dream of. That day, she was preparing a feast for a family gathering, and the aroma of spices hung thick in the air. A fragrant tapestry woven with cardamom, coriander, and, well, everything wonderful. I remember peering up at her, my chin barely reaching the countertop, pleading, "Daddy, please let me help." She smiled, that warm, crinkled smile that could melt glaciers, and patted my head. "You can make the raita, beta," she said, her voice a soothing balm. Raita. It seemed so simple. Yogurt, cucumber, a sprinkle of spices. How hard could it be? Oh, the blissful naivete of youth. She led me to a small wooden stool, the one I always sat on when she told me stories, and pointed to a basket overflowing with plump, green cucumbers. "First, we must choose our cucumbers wisely," she said, holding one up to the light, examining it with a critical eye. "See how this one is firm, and its skin is smooth, like a baby's cheek." I nodded, mesmerized. It wasn't just a cucumber. It was a work of art, a testament to nature's artistry. She showed me how to peel them, the thin green ribbons curling away from the crisp white flesh. Then came the chopping. Now, I envisioned myself dicing those cucumbers with the speed and precision of a master chef, but reality, as it so often does, had other plans. My little hands fumbled with the knife, the cucumber slices turning out thick and uneven, some resembling lopsided triangles, others more akin to abstract art. Grandma, ever patient, gently corrected my grip, guiding my hand with hers. "Slow and steady, Beta," she murmured. "Like a river carving its path through the mountains." I persevered, my cheeks flushed with concentration, the rhythmic thud of the knife against the wooden cutting board a counterpoint to Grandma's humming. Finally, a mountain of, somewhat, evenly chopped cucumber lay before me, a testament to my, somewhat, improved knife skills. Next came the yogurt. Thick, creamy, homemade yogurt, its tangy aroma a welcome contrast to the crispness of the cucumber. Grandma scooped a generous portion into a large earthenware bowl, its cool surface a welcome respite from the summer heat. "Now," she said, her eyes twinkling, "the magic begins." The magic, as it turned out, involved a delicate dance of spices. A pinch of roasted cumin powder, a sprinkle of freshly chopped cilantro, a whisper of red chili flakes for a gentle kiss of heat. I watched, fascinated, as she added each ingredient, her movements precise and deliberate, as if conducting a symphony of flavors. And then, the moment of truth. I dipped a tentative finger into the cool, creamy mixture, bringing it to my lips. My eyes widened. It was underwhelming. The flavors were muted, the yogurt bland, the cucumber watery. My heart sank. Had I ruined everything? Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes. I looked up at Grandma, my lip trembling. "It's not good," I whispered, my voice thick with disappointment. Grandma smiled, a knowing glint in her eye. "Patience, Beta," she said, taking the bowl from me. "Raita needs time to blossom. The flavors need to mingle, to get to know each other." She covered the bowl with a clean cloth and placed it in the refrigerator. "We'll try it again later," she promised. The wait felt like an eternity. The tantalizing aromas from the other dishes wafted through the house, torturing me with their deliciousness. Finally, after what felt like days, but was probably only an hour, Grandma retrieved the raita from the refrigerator. She offered me a spoonful. This time, it was different. The yogurt was now infused with the crispness of the cucumber. The spices had bloomed, their individual notes harmonizing into a symphony of flavors. The coolness of the raita was a refreshing counterpoint to the heat of the other dishes. It was perfect. A simple dish, yet so complex, so full of flavor. I beamed, a wide, goofy grin spreading across my face. "It's amazing, Daddy," I exclaimed, digging into the bowl with gusto. She smiled, her eyes filled with the warmth that radiated through the room. "You know, looking back, it wasn't just about learning to make raita. It was about learning patience, about understanding that sometimes the best things take time to develop, about appreciating the subtle nuances of flavor, about the magic that happens when simple ingredients come together to create something extraordinary. And it was about connection. A connection to my grandmother, to her wisdom, to her love, to a heritage that stretched back generations. It was a connection to a part of myself that I didn't even know existed. Even now, years later, whenever I make raita, I'm transported back to that sweltering summer afternoon, to the clatter of pots and pans, to the fragrance of spices, to the warmth of my grandmother's smile. And for a moment, just a moment, it feels like she's right there beside me, guiding my hand, whispering, slow and steady, beta. I take another sip of my tea, the warmth spreading through me, a comforting reminder of a memory that will forever remain etched in my heart. The setting sun paints the sky in hues of orange and pink, a bittersweet symphony of color that echoes the emotions swirling within me. And I realize, with a quiet sense of gratitude, that sometimes, the simplest things are the most profound. Okay, so, you won't believe what happened the other day. Or, well, maybe you will. It's about a sunset. I know, sounds pretty ordinary, right? Sunsets happen every day. But this one was different. It wasn't just a sunset, it was an experience. You see, I've been in this kind of funk lately. You know how it is, right? Life gets in the way, work piles up, and suddenly you realize you haven't truly looked at the sky in weeks. It's like I've been living in grayscale. Anyway, I decided I needed a break. A proper break. No phone, no laptop, just me and the world. So, I packed a little picnic, some cheese, crackers, a juicy pear, my favorite, a bottle of sparkling water, and, of course, a cozy blanket, and headed to this spot I've known about for ages. It's this little hill overlooking a field, kind of hidden away, with the best view of the western horizon. It's my secret spot. Don't tell anyone, okay? Winking face. The walk there was, well, it was a walk. Dusty path, birds chirping, the usual. But even then, I started to feel a shift. The air smelled like warm earth and wildflowers. And the breeze, oh, the breeze was just perfect. Not too strong, not too weak, just enough to make the leaves dance. It was like nature was giving me a little welcome hug. Cheesy, I know, but true. I got to my spot, spread out my blanket, and just sat there. For a while, I didn't even look at the sky. I just closed my eyes and listened. The rustling of leaves, the buzzing of insects, the distant laughter of children. It was like a symphony of everyday sounds. I realized I hadn't just been neglecting the sky. I'd been neglecting the whole world around me. When I finally opened my eyes, the sun was already beginning its descent. It was still pretty high, but the edges of the clouds were starting to glow this soft, apricot color. It was subtle, but captivating. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't tear your eyes away. So, I nibbled on my cheese and crackers, sipped my sparkling water, and just watched. Minute by minute, the colors intensified. The apricot deepened into a rich orange, then a fiery red, with hints of pink and purple creeping in around the edges. It was like someone was up there with a giant paintbrush, just swirling and blending these incredible hues. Honestly, it was breathtaking. And the clouds. Oh my goodness, the clouds. They were these puffy, cotton candy clouds, and they were just soaking up the light, becoming these luminous, almost glowing shapes. One looked like a giant, fluffy sheep. Another, well, I couldn't quite figure out what it looked like, but it was mesmerizing. I swear, I could have stared at them for hours. As the sun dipped lower, the colors became even more dramatic. The sky was on fire. It was like this explosion of oranges, reds, purples, and even a little bit of green. I know, green. I'd never seen a green sunset before. It was this strange, almost iridescent shade, tucked away in the corners of the sky, like a hidden gem. I was completely awestruck. And then, silence. Not complete silence, but a different kind of silence. The birds had stopped singing. The insects had quieted down. Even the breeze seemed to hold its breath. It was like the whole world was pausing to witness this incredible spectacle. And me? I was right there with them, completely lost in the moment. The final moments were magical. The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving this afterglow that painted the sky in the softest pinks and purples. It was like a gentle sigh after a fiery performance. I sat there, wrapped in my blanket, feeling content. Truly content. It was like my soul had been recharged. Guess what happened next? I started to cry. Not sobbing, just tears rolling down my cheeks. It was such a release. All the stress, all the worries, all the grayness, it just melted away. I felt so connected. To nature, to the world, to myself. It was like I had rediscovered something I had lost. The walk back was different too. The air felt cooler, the shadows longer, but everything seemed brighter. The world had gone from grayscale back to full color. And it wasn't just because of the sunset. It was because I had finally stopped, looked up, and seen the beauty, seen the magic, seen the wonder that's all around us, all the time. We just have to take the time to notice it. I know it sounds cheesy, maybe even a little dramatic. But I swear, that sunset changed me. It reminded me to slow down, to appreciate the small things, to be present in the moment. It reminded me that even in the midst of chaos and stress, there's still beauty to be found. We just have to open our eyes and look. So, yeah, that was my sunset story. Just a simple sunset, but extraordinary. It made me realize how important it is to take those little breaks, to connect with nature, to just be. You should try it sometime. Find your own secret spot, pack a picnic, and watch the sun go down. You might be surprised at what you discover. About the world, and about yourself. You know what I mean? It's the little things, right? The little things that make life, well, life. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for watching and spending this time with me. It really means the world to me that we can connect like this. I'd love it if you'd follow, like, subscribe, and share this video so you can stay updated with new daily content focused on English speaking and listening. You know, before we go, it made me wonder, any random adventure idea on your mind? It's always so lovely to hear what everyone is thinking about, and sharing your ideas in the comments is a fantastic way to practice your English and connect with other adventurers. It helps us all get inspired and dream a little bigger. See you tomorrow, and in the meantime, take good care of yourselves, stay consistent with your practice, and keep shining.